Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Today's video is going to be about why you should study abroad. If you've watched our channel, there are a lot of travel videos, and if you followed us for a while, you might know that both Alexa and I have studied abroad, and that is why we both fell in love with traveling. And so I'm basically just gonna tell you why you should study abroad. If you have the option of studying abroad and you're trying to decide and you're like, I don't know if I can schedule my classes, I don't know, like I'm gonna have to work a lot during the summer, and like if you're trying to decide and you're still like kind of torn, I'm just here to tell you, you should go. And these are my reasons. Number one, because studying abroad and travel in general will expand your worldview and change your perspective on life and how it works. This is applicable to anyone and everyone. I grew up traveling. I was born and raised abroad from the countries that I live in now, because when I was there, it wasn't abroad. Anyway, I was born and raised in Southern Africa, and I traveled my entire life. And so when it came to study abroad and people were telling me like, you need to study abroad because it's important to travel and to expand your worldview, I was like, my worldview is already expanded because I lived in like 3 different continents before. For some reason, I was under the impression that my worldview could no longer be expanded and my perspective could no longer change because I already had this perfectly well-rounded worldview. I was extremely wrong. No matter how much you've traveled, how many countries you've been to, where you grew up, where you lived, no matter anywhere you've been, or if you have 2 parents from 2 different continents, travel will always expand your worldview, and it will always teach you something, and it will always change your perspective. Every country is different, and unless you've literally lived in every single country in the world, which I don't even think is possible with the amount of years that you have in your lifetime, then you don't know how the world works from a different perspective. There are different perspectives everywhere, millions, and the more you travel, the more you learn those, and you're like, maybe the way I think isn't necessarily the best way to think. Maybe the way I do stuff isn't necessarily the best way to do stuff. I think it completely changes your perspective, and it really makes you realize like, wow, I'm not the best at everything. My culture is not the best at everything. It's not also the worst at everything. It's just different. There are different ways to do things, and there's no like one right way to sit on a couch. In Spain, if you put your feet on the couch, that's really rude. But in America, it's like, well, it's all about comfort. So of course I'm gonna put my feet on the couch. So, you know, it's not like one is wrong and the other is correct. It's just different. And it doesn't mean that when you go to Spain and you can't put your feet on the couch, it doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means maybe they're cleaner than we are. I don't know. I'm not saying all of them are cleaner than all of us. Just don't be offended, okay? I'm just gonna say this now. Don't be offended. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just pointing out differences in perspective and how different people might view you and you might view them, and how we just kind of have to learn to respect opinions that are different than ours. People eat different types of food that you might be like, ew, that's disgusting. But then when you think about it, all the ew, that's disgusting is within a hot dog, and you eat that all the time. So, perspective. Number 2, I think you should study abroad because you will learn a new culture. It kind of ties into the last thing, but I think it's really important to learn different cultures because, again, people do things differently than you do. It's just really cool kind of to learn about it. Like, different cultures greet people different ways. Is one way wrong? Is one way right? No, of course not. Like, some people shake hands, some people just nod when you meet people, some people do like the 1 kiss, some people do 2, and it's different and it'll make you uncomfortable, but it's like, maybe they're not weird. Maybe it makes you like flip your thinking and be like, instead of thinking, why do they do it like that? You might think, well, why do we do it like this? For example, I've heard from European friends and from living in Spain and from my Spanish teacher who was Spanish, she was from Spain, she was saying it's very rude in Spain and in different parts of Europe. I've heard this from another European friend. It's very rude to put your hands under the table. Whereas in the United States, you put your hands under the table all the time. When you're eating, I'm sorry, didn't specify. When you're eating, it's rude to put your hands under the table. But I do that all the time. Like, if I'm taking a break from eating and I'm talking to someone, I'll put my hands under the table and then like do this when I'm talking. And it's something I've never thought about, but it's kind of cool to change your perspective. And then you can ask questions, be like, why is that rude? Like, why do you have to have your hands on the table? It's just different things. It's very interesting, and it, again, doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean they're wrong. It is just broadening your mind to how people work and live. And yeah, you learn a different culture and you kind of learn to live with a different perspective for a few months. Unless you go and you have a really bad attitude and you're just like, this is stupid, I'm not gonna expand my worldview, I'm just gonna judge everyone. Then you're not gonna learn anything. Please don't do that. Another reason you should study abroad, reason number 3, is because you will learn a new language. Now, this is not always accurate, because if you study abroad if you are going from the United States and you are going to England, then you probably won't learn another language because they speak English. But you might learn a few new phrases, you might learn a few new words, you might learn to understand different scenarios that you hadn't come across before, because it is a different culture. I think their culture is similar to ours, but the British are not American and the American are not British. We are different. But getting back to language, I think learning a new language really helps, again, with your perspective in life, because sometimes people say things differently, like just the way you say something is different in another language, and it makes you think like, I wonder why we say this in English or whatever language you speak, and you're like, I wonder why we say it like this. I've heard this, I can't remember what language this is, but I've read about it on Tumblr, so it's probably extremely accurate. And in some language you don't say I miss this, you say this is missing from me, which is really cool. And when you learn that language, you're like, oh wow, like that's true. When you miss something, it's like that piece is missing from you. Does that make sense? And so it's really cool to learn another language, because again, perspective, worldview, and you learn why people think the way they think sometimes because of the way their language is. For example, the word for shepherd in Portuguese, pastor, is the same word for pastor. Pastor and shepherd, same word. Isn't that cool? So there's different things that are very cool when you learn a different language. And it can help you understand people of the world, which I think is important, because we all share this world and we're all probably gonna interact. Well, if you travel, if you choose to study abroad, you're probably gonna interact with someone that is different than you. You will interact with someone that is different than you, and it's cool to understand where they're coming from. The 4th reason why you should study abroad is because it pushes you out of your comfort zone, which you might be watching this and you might be like, how on earth is this a good thing? I think getting pushed out of your comfort zone really helps you grow as a person. When you make mistakes because you are forced to ask a question and you like don't know the language or you don't know the culture and you ask the wrong question and everyone like laughs, I feel like it kind of like you've fallen so many times. That's like metaphorically you're like falling, and you just gotta pick yourself back up, and it kind of teaches you in life like it's okay to make mistakes. And then you become more confident and you're like, yo, I'm gonna go into this restaurant and I'm gonna ask them a question and I'm probably gonna butcher it, and I'm not ashamed because I've done that like a million times that it doesn't even faze me anymore to embarrass myself. Really boosts your confidence. And I feel like just pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, like, I don't know, how boring would it be to live life and always be comfortable? Like, if you had never pushed yourself out of your comfort zone ever in your life, you wouldn't have any friends. That's how you make friends, is you push yourself out of your comfort zone, and you're awkward and you're shy, but you still talk to people. That's how you do everything. That's why you go to college, because you want to learn new things, and it can be really hard and challenging, and you're really not comfortable when you're like racking your brain trying to find an answer on a test, but you want to grow. And so pushing yourself out of your comfort zone really makes you grow as a person, I think. And especially when you travel abroad and are constantly pushed out of your comfort zone, I feel like it really helps you grow as a person. The 5th thing is that it will force you to be independent, because you will be on a continent far away from everything you know. You might go with like a friend or something like that, like you'll make friends there, but you're still far away from the country you're raised in. You're still far away from your parents, from a language you speak. If you're in a country that speaks a different language, you're far away from the currency you use. You're far away from everything you are used to, and you kind of have to start from scratch, and it really forces you to be independent and figure out how to do stuff, because if you don't figure it out, nobody's gonna figure it out for you. Like, if you miss your train in Rome, you can't just sit there and cry and be like, Mom, can you come pick me up? No, sucks to suck. Yeah, be independent, and you gotta figure out how you're gonna get to the airport and not miss your flight. That would be a good learning experience. Yeah, it would push you out of your comfort zone, but it would teach you how to react in times of crisis. And so I think it really helps in forcing you to become independent and just like build your own ways out of complicated and difficult situations. congratulations. And I feel like after you study abroad, like it just really helps you, yeah, be independent and do things that you thought you would be way too scared to do. If this looks a little bit different, it's because my camera ran out of battery, and so I had to charge it, and now I'm back to the video. Anyway, the last thing that you will learn when you study abroad is confidence. And I know I kind of touched on that a little bit earlier, but I honestly think it forces you to be confident. And after you've lived by yourself, you are in a program, so you're not technically completely by yourself, but you're by yourself in a sense that you're not surrounded by family, you're not near your family, you aren't surrounded by all of your closest friends unless all of your closest friends decide to study abroad at the same time. So you're kind of all alone in a situation where you're all alone because nothing's familiar. Like nothing is on your side, if that makes sense. Language is not on your side, currency is not on your side, location is not on your side because not near anything you're used to. So it sounds weird, but it's like nothing is helping you continue on with your day. You literally have to like figure out every hour of the day that you're not in class how you're gonna get to your apartment, how you're gonna buy a snack. You need to figure it all out. And I think it really forces you to learn confidence, because once you fail so many times, you stop being embarrassed. You're like, oh, I said something embarrassing? I didn't even notice, because I do that like every day. And it really helps with your confidence, I think. So yeah, those are my reasons as to why you should study abroad if you're trying to decide. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, you should 100% study abroad. It changed my life. It made me fall in love with travel even more than I already loved it. And I think it's completely worth it. Travel is one of the only things that you can buy that will make you richer. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a big thumbs up. Please leave a comment below and please subscribe. Thank you. Bye.